We found a way to feed our chickens that boosts the nutritional value of the feed and lowers the feed cost. Keep watching to find out what we do. So come along with me while I take care of our meat chickens, and I'm going to walk you through the process that we use to get the most out of our feed and have it be the best it can be for the chickens. So here are the meat chickens in the brooder. They're almost ready to go out onto pasture. But for right now, they've got a little bit of time left to be in here. And so I'm going to start taking care of them today. Okay, it's time to go get a bucket of feed. So we have the feed stored over here in this little type of a shed outbuilding thing. So I'm gonna get some feed. This is non-corn, non-soy, certified organic broiler chicken feed that we've been using. And for the last several years that we raised chickens, well, as long as we've been doing it, we have just used it as is. But this year, we're doing something special to it that really makes it so that the nutrition is even better for the chickens, and we use less feed, which saves cost. So for right now, I'm just gonna fill my bucket about 2/3 of the way full of feed. Now let's take it back to where the chickens are, and I'll show you the whole process. So what we have going here is a process to ferment the feed. So we start off with our dry feed like this, and then we put it through a 3-day process. So as you can see, we have little sticky notes on here so we can tell which feed is ready to feed on what day. So this is the one that we're going to be feeding today. And as you can see, it is nice and moist. It's got a nice fermented smell to it, and they love it. They eat it up. They eat it right up. And I also find it pretty handy that when they're eating the fermented food, they seem to require less water, which is really helpful. Here in Colorado, it's very dry. It gets very hot in the summer when we're raising them. So having their water intake partly fulfilled by the feed is very helpful, it seems. So let me show you how I mix this up. Each day, we take the bucket that we used for the previous day's feed, we rinse it out, and then we let it sit in the sun to help sanitize it. Here's my helper bringing the waters back. Thank you. So today I'm gonna grab this one. It's got a little rainwater in it actually. Gonna grab this clean bucket, and I'm just gonna pour the feed that you just saw me get out of the shed into my clean bucket. Now this feed that we're using is already nutritionally complete. It has lots of different things in it to add all of the nutrients that they need. But we like to also add a few other things just to really make it even better. While I have the two buckets side by side, you can see just how much it expands during the fermentation process. See how much more full that bucket is? Started with the same amount of feed in both buckets, but that's how much it expands when it's fermenting. And if you're familiar from nutrition, from like a Nourishing Traditions, Weston A. Price type of a standpoint, you'll know that for people, fermenting seeds breaks them down, makes the nutrients more available, makes them easier to digest. And while chickens are different than people, they're designed to break down seeds a lot more easily than we are. It still is very beneficial to have that fermentation step, make it even easier yet for their bodies to be able to get maximum nutrition from it. Another thing that I really love about doing feed this way is that with this particular feed, it's not in a pellet or anything like that. It's whole grains and then supplements added to it, and they're powdered supplements. And so whenever we fed it dry, I always thought that it seemed like the powdered supplements always get left behind in the bottom of the feeder, and I wasn't sure how much of the powdered supplements the chickens were actually getting. But with this wet fermented feed, you know that they're getting everything because it's all mixed in and they're eating the whole thing. So another thing that I really like about it. So there are a few things that we like to add just to make it even better, and there are these herbs. So the first one is cayenne. Next we have cilantro. And these all have various benefits that really help the birds. They provide minerals and vitamins. The cayenne in particular is really helpful for their preventing heart attacks and different cardiovascular issues like that. These herbs give vitamins and minerals. This one is oregano, also helps against parasites. And then this one is turmeric, helps against inflammation, different things like that. So add those. And then I go ahead and just stir that in to try to combine it somewhat. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my water to this bucket. Now, we unfortunately don't have a well here, so it's treated water, and we don't want chlorine when we're about to ferment. So every day we fill up this bucket about 3/4 of the way full, and we let it sit. And then that lets the chlorine evaporate out of it. So it's been sitting 24 hours, so now it's ready to go ahead and use. And I'm just going to go ahead and pour it into my bucket with the feed and the herbs. And I go ahead and fill it so that now the bucket is about 3/4 of the way full. You can see that there's a lot of water yet on top of the feed, and that's okay because I know, just like this other bucket, it's going to absorb that feed and then it will be totally fine. So I'm just going to move these into place so that now this one gets to sit and ferment. Take my pencil, I cross out the date that was on there and write a new one. So we have 10/11. This one will be ready to feed on the 12th, 3 days from now. And then while I'm at this, I go ahead and check my other buckets. Yep, oftentimes they need water added to them as well. So I'll be adding some water to that one and some water to that one, just to make sure that everything stays very submerged so that you don't get mold. If it's not staying submerged, you can start to see some mold. So I make sure that there's water on the top of these that still have a day or two yet to ferment. So now you can see there's a little bit of standing water on the top of there that will continue to absorb as it continues to ferment, but that prevents mold from forming. And then the lid just goes on there loosely. We don't tighten it down because we want the gases from the fermentation process to be able to easily escape. And then I'm going to go ahead and feed this feed that's ready to use today to these hungry guys. Also giving them some grit. So since this is the first year that we've been doing this with fermenting, we're not exactly sure of the ratio of how much feed it is saving us. We have a guess because it seems like I was showing, if you have a bucket of feed, it's about 2/3 of the way full, and then after it's fermented, it expands to a completely full bucket. So it's somewhere in there is what I think we're going to be saving over buying feed. So that's one of the things that we're keeping track of this year, is to find out that exact ratio of savings on feed amounts. But we already know that it's also nutritionally superior as well. So I hope that you found that interesting. If you have chickens, I hope that you give it a try. Leave me a comment and let me know if you do and how you liked it. Check out that description box for things that I've made for you guys. I have free ebooks, I have meal plans, I have links to some of our favorite things that we like to get, all those kinds of goodies that I've collected there for you guys. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with anybody else who you think would like it, and if you're new to my channel, hit that subscribe button. I get out new videos every week on nourishing recipes and natural living. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.